you've posted some pretty cool imagery, kind of showing the before and after impacts of Helene. I actually remember you taking some. I think it was after Helene. You were up there showing some pictures. But today you posted this tweet, which is pretty stunning, showing just how dramatic some of the tree damage is on the Parkway. And we should mention that this is the new section that just opened, correct, Jack?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the images are pretty stunning because it used to be almost a tunnel of trees, and now it's kind of wide open. Kind of tell us, and our viewers out there, what was it like up there seeing this for the first time since last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time I'd been up that way was last summer. And there was a section I got to where another road comes in called Craven Gap, and I couldn't even recognize the area I was in. Like, I came up on the sign for Craven Gap, and I was like, oh, that's where we are right now? Because, like you said, it's a tunnel of trees, or it used to be. And if you're familiar with the Elk Mountain area that had all their tree damage post-storm, it's pretty similar to that as far as I can tell. Maybe not quite as bad, but still in some spots probably a few places lost 80% of their trees.
Wow. Yeah, it's stunning. The tree damage, it's going to be the biggest loss of timber in North Carolina state history. Are there still a ton of trees down? Like, were they removed, cut up? What's it look like on the forest floor up there?
Honestly, there's not a ton of trails that go through the area that got hit really bad. But you can see pretty easily that if it wasn't laying on the Parkway, they didn't do anything to it. So there's still plenty just laying on the ground up there. There's a few trailheads that definitely were impacted. They've got a bunch of trees down near them. I think they're considered closed still. I'll be interested to see how well they can enforce that when all the visitors come in the fall. But it's interesting because you get to the highest elevations. I went up to Mount Mitchell today. You can hardly tell that there was a storm.
Yeah. Tim, you got a question?
It's interesting, Jack. Yeah, hey Jack, good to see you, buddy. It's interesting how you said it's kind of different at the different elevations, right? So like you said with Mount Mitchell, it's one way, and then at some of the other areas, it's the other way. I think when we talk about Helene and when we talk about mountain geography, which you know a lot better than some of us do, being from there, it's almost interesting how the wind direction plays such a role in the damage, kind of like the angle that it might hit the slopes. Do you feel like that was playing a big role in which areas were more damaged than others? Was that wind direction?
Absolutely. You could, it's only on the southern and kind of southeastern facing slopes of that area. And I remember I was there 2 weeks after the storm, and south of Asheville, closer to Fletcher, there was a few spots where you're driving in a valley, and on your left is the north-facing side of the ridge, and it looks like it's like early fall. It's got a few colors on there, mostly green, and then you come around to the other side of the ridge that's south-facing, and all of the leaves were gone. So if you're on the north side, you were, I won't say fine, but relatively speaking, a lot less impacted by the winds of Helene.
It reminds me, I was at the National Weather Association. I was going to say, Tim, I was going to jump in there because at the National Weather Association conference, there was a great presentation on the DOW, the Doppler on wheels, that they had deployed for landfalling tropical systems. And one of the elements they detected in landfalling systems are these kind of like horizontal wind bands within the outer layer, and where you get enhanced wind and then lulls. And it almost seems to me that's kind of what we saw in the mountains. There were certain areas where there was a channel of really strong winds, and then other areas where there wasn't. That Elk Mountain area, as you mentioned, Jack, that area, the blowdown there was just crazy to see from some of the satellite image. I can't imagine what it looked like from the ground.
Yeah, there's plenty of new views. That's what's striking about that section of the Parkway now is there's really not. I think there's maybe 4 landslides that they had to fix between Asheville and Mount Mitchell, which is remarkable to me. I don't know. I don't really understand that. Considering that I feel like they said like 25 past Mount Mitchell, closer to Little Switzerland and Linville. But yeah, you go up there and it's kind of normal for a while, and then you kind of get back onto the southern side of the ridge, and the trees just like thin dramatically. It's pretty obvious when you get to a spot that had worse wind.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry I interrupted you earlier.
Oh, not at all. Yeah. Well, I mean, and we're talking a lot about, what does the damage look like and what did it look like before, kind of the before and after. I think the good thing is that, you were able to get up there today. People that are watching this, they could get up there this weekend if they want to. And it's good timing with this opening coming up on a few weeks away from what should be, hopefully, a pretty good fall color season. How are you thinking the leaves are going to look up that way? Craggy Gardens is probably, top of the list for a lot of people to get out there. You posted this picture that we're showing right now. It looks to be like there's already a little bit of color.
So that spot in particular is way ahead of a lot of the area, which I'll be honest, I don't fully understand. It's a ridge a few thousand feet lower than Mount Mitchell, and I've been there a couple falls, and it turns earlier than everything else. But I will say, in general, I think things were further along than I would have expected them to be on September 16th. I think that's been the case for pretty much for Graveyard Fields over closer to Brevard is definitely further along. I would say up to a week ahead of the usual pace. But you could definitely tell some of the younger trees on less let's say more rocky soil were like already fully yellow or red, and you can see some of the bigger ones on the higher elevations were starting to get that tinge of yellow and orange. So you can certainly tell that it started up there.
Jack, let me ask you this. I saw a report from the fall weather guy today saying same thing. He's saying he's seeing a lot of color much earlier than probably in the past decade, just because we've had such warm autumns the last couple of years too. But he also mentioned something I thought was interesting. He's noticed some drought stress on some of the trees. Did you notice any of that up there? Because it's been really dry for the last month or so.
It has. I think you can tell that better with some of the low. When I say lower, I would say maybe between 2,000 and 4,000 feet. If you see stuff changing color in that range, that's most likely kind of a stress situation. There's, you can give them some credit. Some of them are down in these cold holes and they turn a little bit quicker. But you see a ridge top that's yellow and orange already with maybe the other surrounding ridges are green, and that's an indicator of there's a little bit of drought stress going on. But I haven't seen anything super concerning personally so far that we're going to have a super rusty, dry fall color season. But it's pretty early, and as I think we all know, there's not a whole lot of rain. It appears in the forecast for the next, I don't know, a week at least. But I tell you what, it did rain up there today.
Yeah, that's why we don't have a picture from the top of Mount Mitchell, because you were all fogged in up there, right? It was a little soggy and pea soup.
Yeah, I got up there and it was, I had some clearing for a little bit, but after maybe 20 minutes, it was 48 degrees, breezy, and foggy.
Yeah. Hey, Jack, what was the crowds like? Was there a lot of traffic? Were there already people up there kind of checking out some of these new areas that are just opened?
So I got up there, when did I get to Mitchell? 10-something. And there were just a handful of other people. But I will say I was making my way home a little about when other people were really starting to show up. It definitely started to heat up a little more closer to lunchtime. There was a pretty good amount of cars going past me as I hung out at an overlook for a while. But I'll note that as of right now, it's one lane to Mount Mitchell, and I don't know how long it's going to last, but I sat at a one-way traffic light for 15 minutes today, and there was nobody but construction on there. So I don't know what their plan is. Maybe they're only 2 weeks away from getting it done, but keep that in mind. If you're going up to Mitchell, you probably have some delays.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a really good tip, actually, because I didn't know there was only one lane up there.
To know.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go, so you're kind of stuck there.
Yeah, I was surprised by it today. It doesn't appear to be Helene related. I think it's some kind of just normal maintenance, but it's closed half the road.
Well, great, Jack. We're almost out of time here. I hope you send us more pictures. If you have any plans to head back up there in the coming weeks and get some images?
Oh, I'll absolutely be back up there in the coming weeks.
I appreciate it, because we always look forward to seeing some of your pictures. So thanks again for joining us. Maybe we'll have you back on when we get closer to peak color.
Yeah, thanks for having me, y'all.